This is the Policy Review Committee meeting. It's the Policy Review Committee meeting of March 14, 2016, at the Daniel Boone Administration Building cafeteria. Present from the board are myself, Carol Bites.
Connor Kurtz.
From the administration,
James Harris.
I'm Rob Hurley.
Okay, so first up on the agenda tonight, we will be talking about Policy 229, Old Policy 219, regarding student fundraising. I, for one, again, would like to kick this football down the road until Mr. Harris has had sufficient time in the district to formulate his own plans and make recommendations to the board. Or is that agreeable to you?
Yes.
Mr. Harris? Is that
Yes.
the way you'd like to see that policy handled before we
Yeah,
make any changes?
that's fine.
Okay. I don't have any problem with that, Mr. Kurtz? Okay. So we're just going to bump that down again till next month, and we're just going to keep kicking that can down the road until we decide to pick that back up. It will be addressed, but not in the foreseeable future. Policy 109, resource materials. Mr. Harris, do you know what that is? Anybody know what that is? I see, I didn't even see that on there. Here's 109. Pennsylvania General Assembly, 1849.
Citation. That's a reference. Oh, here it is. It's the first page.
Finance. Purchases subject to bid. Okay, so that's the old policy. I guess this kicked back from,
The proposed policy
The,
at the first page here.
109. I'm guessing there's some language here was changed by the administrator, by the solicitor.
All the bold.
All the bold.
All right.
That's from PASBA, right?
Yes. It wasn't us. It was.
Wouldn't we have already deliberated on this? When we did the 100s?
Oh, wait, this is, I don't know, maybe this is what we're supposed to come back to. I think that might have been.
Okay, it was on the new business last month, and we were going to clean up the ambiguity of full board majority that most affirmatively vote and resource material approvals. We're going to have some more discussion on that.
Yeah, that was one of the questions about full
Full
board.
board.
And that was a larger question we had. Yeah, because the question, the word full, if you just said board, I mean, the board is whoever's present and voting. Whoever's present and voting. But the full board, the inclusion of the word full raised some questions.
Are we thinking that we should strike full?
Well, I'm saying I think we need to check the law
So is
to
there-
see, or those citations, we were given those citations. I think we should just spend a little bit of time looking to see if there's any clarity.
Okay. The references that I am finding don't say the word, just use the description full board, just board of
Yeah.
school directors.
I saw that too in second citation. The other policy here is boards.
Oh, 06.
The 006 should specify, because that's where it includes, here we go, on page 407, 4 and 5 of 7, they specify what requires here we go again. The following actions, item number
Number
2.
two.
The following actions require the recorded affirmative votes of a majority of the full number of board members. So that does say the full majority of board members. So that would seem to suggest that you need 5 votes. So if only 6 people are present, 5 of those 6 must vote yes. And that's an important thing to clarify. That's interesting here. It's worth reflecting, I think, upon that through this list. The appointment of teachers and principals, adopting the annual budget. So if at the, when it comes time to approve the budget, if there are only 8 board members or 7 board members, it's not just 4, because 4 is a majority of 7. You need the full 5 because it says full number of board members.
Yep.
So what I would then add, well, I think we should just look at this to refresh our memories, and Mr. Harris as well. Purchasing land, adopting planned instruction, entering into contracts of any kind.
For the record, we're reviewing policy number 006. Specifies the voting procedures and requirements. So we don't want anything in 109 to contradict what's in
No, and 106, I believe that is law.
right. I bet it's
Now, we can go and look
there's
into-
our references.
I don't know if those references are included. Here we go. Purchase of supplies. But that is notable that it's,
So I think we want to leave that wording there,
I would say,
right?
full is correct, but I think we should clarify anyway by adding a little bit more language, the full number of board members. Take that language from 106, just because when we read it there was question. We could clear that up by listing what we found.
Using the same wording in 106.
So that would be, instead of just full, it should be
Full
full
number
number of board members. And I don't like the term, I think it's the board members, it should be school directors, because that's the title of the office. But
I think PASMA has been changing that whole, has been using that lingo all through the new rewrite.
well, they didn't
Didn't
use
they?
it. They didn't rewrite policy 6. Hi, Mike.
Mr. Wolf has joined us.
We found something interesting that is worth, I think, the whole board knowing about. We were reviewing PASBA proposed policy 109, and there was some confusion under authority in regard to approving resources for schools and curricula, all of that. The board shall, by an affirmative vote of a majority of the full board, provide resource materials, blah, blah, blah. But we were hung up on the term full board. Is that a full, is that a majority of the board, or is that a majority of the full number of board members? So if you had 7 people at a board meeting, 4 is a majority, but a majority of all board members is 5. So we looked into policy, and it does require a full majority of all board members, not just those present and voting. And there were a number of other requirements listed in policy 6 for a full number, an affirmative votes of a majority of the full number of board members. That includes purchasing and selling land, appointing teachers and principals, adopting textbooks, levying taxes. So I just thought that was interesting because I didn't realize that. I thought even for those things it was just a majority of those present and voting. But it's not. It's you have to have 5, period.
So we want to make sure we use the same language in 109 to be consistent with 106, where it's also spelled out in 106, specifically that adopting textbooks recommended by a superintendent does require the recorded affirmative votes of a majority of the full number of the board members.
And I wonder when it says recorded majority vote, does that mean recorded affirmative vote? Does that mean like names, like a roll call vote, or can that just still be like what we do, informal voice vote, where, I mean, it does say that it was unanimous, so that
Yeah,
is,
but it says how they have to be recorded.
that's right. it does-
Just
it says
recorded.
Recorded, good point. Okay, well then I
So we'll-
propose just taking that language and adding,
Adding the same
and
one.
amending that, instead of full board, full number of board members.
Well, recorded affirmative votes of a majority of the full number of board.
Yeah, if you just want to lift
Oh,
that
okay, you
entire
just want to
section,
do, yeah, I was
mean, the
thinking about
relevant
it.
part there is
Full.
just expanding
A
on what
majority
full
of
means.
the, I think we should change, put by that exact same language. By the,
sure.
from affirmative vote to affirmative votes of a majority of the
Yeah,
full
that's
number. I think it should be recorded. It should be exactly the same language. The board shall, by the recorded affirmative votes of a majority of the full number of board members, provide resource materials, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Good, okay. So, any comments from the administration? Or did that,
No.
we
It's
belabored
cleared
these
up,
things?
so.
Okay, so let's, we're gonna do that. Recorded. I don't think there was anything else on that one. Okay. So moving on to the new business, so that's wrapping up the old business. On to new business 011 at 6:16.
Was there one
Pol-
other thing in that policy that we were looking for? I remember there being something else.
Need to clean up ambiguity of full board majority and resource material approvals. But no, I think
Okay,
that
that
was
was the
all,
same
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
okay.
Just so that most of them are for the resource material. That's all I have in my action.
Okay.
I guess we missed something. I hope somebody brings it to us. Okay, so moving on
Yep.
to 011. Principles for Governance and Leadership. That was a PASBA initiative that they're recommending the 500 school districts in Pennsylvania adopt as a policy. This committee, by a split decision, moved it up to the full board, who decided that we weren't interested in incorporating it as a policy, but kicked it down to the policy committee now to schmooze the language and make it acceptable as just a mission statement. I'm of the opinion today, on March 14th, that if it's not going to be a policy, I'm not really sure that I'm interested in spending a lot of time on something that's not really going to be germane to how we function over and above the ethics that are already clearly spelled out in the 000s
And the law.
and the law. So I do see it as kind of a futile exercise at this point.
Redundancy. almost.
Redundant. I'm moving that we just table it. Table? Do we table it or drop it? What's the word?
Table is fine.
Okay, I'm recommending we table it. I'm asking for the other board member on the committee to,
I second that.
okay? So, any comment from anybody on that, from the administration? I forgot. Mr. Herman? Mr. Wolf? Are you- Okay, so we're going to table that as a redundant effort. Before I move on, can I break here and just see if anybody from the public has any comments on anything that we've done so far? Did I neglect any voices? Okay. Okay, so we have moving on then, that's it for new business today. Moving on to legal review, there are none, no first readings. Then we have second readings for 1052, exemption from instruction, and 110 instructional supplies. If there was any action of this, we wanted to take on anything, right? It's just another chance to change it if
Yeah,
something
I don't
comes to
think there was
light.
anything that I had. Exemption from instruction, wasn't that again the religious
I
objection?
thought we hashed that all out to the committee's satisfaction.
What was that satisfaction that we achieved? Or
Um,
we-
We moved some minor changes in the language that we weren't going to allow students to exempt themselves and all that discussion. We just
Yeah, I
wanted the
remember
parents to
discussion,
do
I
it
just don't
and,
remember the resolution. Yeah, if it becomes an issue, I can see the board going back to reevaluate it, but it hasn't, I mean, this is just some type of possibility that we're considering. Let's wait. and
Oh,
see.
wait, no, I'm wrong. 110, yeah, 105 was the exemption for the student for religious reasons, and then 110 was instructional supplies. When students prepare useful items, they are permitted to keep. They
Oh,
shall
yeah.
pay the district. We changed that language too. We took out useful, and we took out, and we added they may be required to pay back, and we moved that to first reading.
All right.
So,
And those changes are reflected in the copy that was approved at first reading?
I will double check.
Yeah, we just
Yeah,
make
I
sure
will.
that what we're sending on to the full board is,
You're right, yep. I can't say that I honestly did
Okay.
look for that yet. Okay, so, does anybody have anything else?
since we moved through that very quickly, under here under future policies to review, develop, I'd like to maybe get a head start on some of these.
Sure.
Alternatively, we could adjourn and get pizza.
Sure. Well, let's just take a quick look at the 5 future policies that we have in development. Uncompensated leave, building security, use of district-owned vehicles for program-related activities, the development of a new policy for district stipends and reimbursement policy, and develop district academic / activity covered expenses for students policy.
Just for you, 709 was something that Casey had asked for, because we're going through and rekeying, like a lot of buildings and trying to get a handle on who has what access to the buildings. That was something that, you know,
Does he have any specific recommendations for that, or just something for us to come kind of look over?
that's something to tackle, to try and develop some type of policy with regard to who has, how they get keys, like coaches and other people, like, you know, maybe from here, who gets keys, how they're tracked, how they're, you know, that they leave, how they're accounted for and they're turned in, make sure they're
On
turned
that note, maybe, Mr. Harris, could you provide us an overview of how the keys are current, like, are we at swipe cards in all of our buildings? Like, what is the general picture of building access?
I know the administrators have keys,
Physical, like hard copy keys, or?
regular old-fashioned metal keys, and I know they also have swipe cards. The coaches have keys to the building, athletic director. Trying to put together a program when, and I know this is why the rekeying occurred, there were so many keys floating around that it was almost impossible to go out and track them all down, so it's easier to just put new cylinders in and change the locks and then reissue new keys. So I know Casey's in the middle of that right now. What would help if we had something internally that we could do the keys ourselves here, but we don't, so we have to, what he does, he waits until he gets about a half dozen requests, and then he goes out and gets the keys made. It'd be nice if we had something in-house, since we're doing it, since it's an active project, if we had a keying machine, something here, that we could do the keys, but we don't.
Isn't
so-
this going to be a one-time kind of event, though, once we get them all cut and distributed? It would be like a finite number, right?
Well, we have a lot of
Would it be-
doors. I mean, reality is we have a lot of doors in this building, so if he's only looking at the outside doors now, we still have the interior doors we also have to look at. And that's a
He's
major.
been going through, from facilities, he's been going through a process with the administrators from each building. Does somebody really need to come unlock this door from the outside? So some of those are being eliminated. So you only can open the buildings from certain, you know, on certain doors.
But all the
Okay,
classroom doors have to be lockable. And then the teachers have to have the locks down. My prior positions, I've always, at the end of the year, had a checkoff sheet and went around to every teacher and got the key back and tagged it, because I also had a big box of miscellaneous keys. So you have to re-tag the key, then when a new teacher gets that room,
Yeah.
you give them a key. But if teachers change rooms, it makes it hard, and
It
so
needs
you
to
have.
stay with the room and not the person.
Right, but teachers change rooms, so I think what would make sense is that there's a general master key to all the doors, but teachers lose the keys. You put something in place where you charge them $5
That's
or
true.
$10
That's true.
for the key. But
Or the cost of rekeying,
Well-
that's what I was gonna recommend.
more rekeying would mean new keys. So if we keep the same cylinder and a master key for all the internal, that's something we could do, or unless we go to electronic. And electronic makes the most sense, because then we could set teachers up with access times, holidays, and then there's a record of when they come into the building, not when they leave. Yeah, so that works also.
So we had discussed also that, like my work, I have a card, magnetic card to get in my work. If I lose it, it costs me $50 to replace it.
Yeah. Well, but electronic locks work best outside the building, because then the building can always be open to those who are authorized.
Well, how does that, I know we already have some of those swipes. How much of the district a percentage would be ideal, but can you give me an estimate
How much of it is swipeable?
Yeah, how
right
large
now?
is that deployment of key
High
swipers?
school, middle school, Amity isn't swipeable, is it? No, Amity isn't, Birdsboro isn't. No.
Just to get in the main door?
Mr. Hurley, which buildings, high school, the middle school?
High school,
High school,
middle
middle
school,
school.
this building has swipe cards. The elementaries do not.
Has the facilities committee discussed switching to a system like that?
We didn't give Casey the directive to go do it.
Yeah,
that I'm
'cause I'm wondering
aware
the
of.
cost.
Yeah, I think it's beyond the scope of this
It is,
committee.
yeah.
Can we just focus on, right now, on maybe asking the administration to get us the recommendation for the current
Yeah.
system, how we can
I'm
update
just really-
the policy to reflect?
Madam Chair,
I like what you said about, like, going around at the end of the policy, the procedures in place to account for the keys going
I'll
forward.
drop it after this
Oh,
question.
go ahead.
Does anybody have idea how much it costs? Like, how much
Key
interest
swiper?
it is?
Have no, the key machine?
Well, no, sure, but I was thinking more the swipes, like how to,
It would depend on the network that we have now. If we could tie it in, I can get a price for it though.
I don't-
Okay,
I
that's
can't
beyond the
authorize-
scope of this
Yeah,
committee.
facilities committee, maybe that's something for them to take up. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, that's. Okay, and the district-owned vehicles for
That was
program-related,
my personal pet peeve.
talk to me about that, because I,
Well, as you know,
Mr. Wolf.
I drove a lot for for the music program. And I would say, out of just say 10 times that I jumped in the van, if I had the fuel gauge and I jumped in and I got it over, and it was over a quarter, I was amazed. And one time, it was on the bar for E, and that's how somebody had left. And we were heading that day to Hershey. And I confronted the person, the coach, about the general condition of the inside that was left. And
That's right.
I took a picture and sent it to him, and the person, needs to say, was indignant that I dared to challenge him on why, why it was left in that condition. So I said, oh, I know how I can fix that. So that's where that came from.
Okay.
And plus, these vehicles, there's no method that I'm aware of reporting that there's a mechanical issue, that somebody should be doing, looking at the, like just something as easy as the windshield washer fluid.
That's a good.
Because a couple of times we had to, fill it up with washer fluid, just so we could get to where we were going. But just simple stuff.
We
like
could
that.
peek around
I mean,
and
the
see what
damage-
other-
They were damaged on the outside, like someone put a crease down the one side of the van too. And of course, nobody
No
had any
plans.
recollection of it when
Yeah, I'm-
Mrs. Goss went looking for the person.
Even vehicle, maintenance, even storage. I know a former vehicle owned by the district is very rusty. in the
But
bed of it.
it's a little bit bigger than that. I mean, there should be, whoever the district person, like the coach or whoever the organizer is, they should be responsible for making sure that whoever the driver is has a valid driver's license. And there's a log inside the vehicle that you should be filling out with your starting and ending mileage.
Yeah, I think also specifically if there are employees who are designated to drive these vehicles, I think it's also important that, are they using them just on district property? Are they taking them home? Like, I remember that's been an issue in the past. Do we have any policies regulating vehicle usage? I don't remember seeing any in the
I think
manual.
we do, we could file it.
We
And
don't
it's
follow
very
it.
old.
Is that
It hasn't-
709?
Okay.
I don't think it ever got to.
Oh, yeah, it has 828.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to bump up 828 and bring that to committee. How about
Yeah.
for next month? Thank you for the background information and lively discussion.
And Mr. Martino brought the leave, or he asked that it be addressed.
Yeah, I'd like to get some more
You know what
clarification
the-
from him on what that's about.
Mhm. Well, I can ask to move it up and follow up with him in between to get the background on it. We can bump those three up for next meeting.
That sounds
It's
good.
good if we can try to cover these things in between waiting for the next
That's
batch
good, yeah.
to come down from PASBA.
And also any recommendations from the administration, like that would be very helpful.
Why don't we bump all 5 of them up with,
I mean, the only thing, maybe if that'll
if
push
we
the
can,
envelope a little bit and get us talking about some of these things. Because that also is important with the whole security theme we've been talking about.
you mean 709 or what?
That's a policy we're supposed to be reviewing too. Well, yeah, the keys specifically, like that ties into building security. And I see 709 is just titled building security, so there'll be a whole discussion on that.
But what did you say ties into the whole discussion on
The keys,
district wide?
the key situation. And I thought that was a TBD. I didn't realize that was under 709.
I wouldn't mind working on all 5 of them since we don't have much else, if the
Well,
administration
I
can
would,
get to.
I would really
them.
like, if we could, instead of working on all 5, if we could get the 3 next meeting discussed and we can get a resolution to them if at all possible. I'm not sure the TBDs, like you see the top 3, 419, 709, 820,
There's
28, they're all
existing
policies.
structure,
Exactly.
but the TBDs, it might be as easy as going out to another district.
Sure, I
and,
mean, it's up to you. If you
and
want to talk about
grabbing
all
it.
of them, we could do that.
I'll ask the administration if at all possible to,
At the very least.
at least just start working on all 5 of them, but we'd like at least the top 3 in the future policies to be.
No problem.
Okay. With that said, it's 6:30. Now, is there anything else from anyone, from the other member on the committee? Anything else from the administration? Anything pressing?
I hate to say it, I have a question. Under district stipend and reimbursement policy, what do you mean by reimbursement? When someone goes out and spends their money and gets
Yeah.
money back?
When they're on a,
Okay, we have that. We were already working. Okay. so-
okay, oh, good.
Okay.
Right? Is that
Yeah.
how you would take that? If they're out on a district sanctioned trip
Yes,
and
that
they
was the
pay out of
genus
pocket.
of that the
But
genesis
we
of
do
that
have
discussion.
a reimbursement policy already in place.
We do, and it came up with principles over the last few months, needing to run out for holiday projects and things they were working on, and what would they be reimbursed for?
Okay,
and
so
how
to
the
kind of
process to do it.
To define it then?
Right, so Lauren and I sat
Okay.
down, we worked out, we have a max, I think it's $300 that they could spend
Oh,
currently and get reimbursed for without having to get it pre-approved. Because we don't want to nickel and dime them over nuts and bolts.
Is that
Yeah,
something,
yeah, because it's helpful.
Is
They're
it the
willing to
policy
do
or
it.
should be in the policy?
It's
Is
in
that
the-
just, because I don't want to, just kind of a verbal thing.
I'll have it here.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's already a policy, but we looked at, it's kind of like working money for them. We offer this, but I'll have it, it's in writing, I'll get it from
Okay.
Lauren, and we have it.
So it's a good shot we can get 4 of them.
Yes.
Definitely by next meeting, and then if it works out for 5, we'd appreciate that too. There's also a grant reimbursement policy that the board directed us to look into a couple meetings ago. Could you check on that if you have a chance, or can we at least
Grant?
get it onto
You mean
the grant reimbursement policy? How,
I know we looked at the grant management recapping and reporting,
okay.
but never, I don't
And
know,
that-
what's
is it-
grant reimbursement?
No, not reimbursement, grant disbursement.
Yes.
Grant
yes.
disbursement.
That's part of the
I'm sorry,
reporting. Yeah,
right.
that's part of
Okay,
the
so
reporting.
you'll bring that to us too?
Yeah.
Good. That's the only other one that I was aware of that we should be working on in committee. Did you have anything else, Mr. Wolf? You good? We're chugging along here. I'll turn.
Did you receive word from PSBA on when the next batch?
No,
So they're
no, I
working on the
haven't.
200 level?
Yep,
That would be good to
Yep.
figure out when we're going to get those. Just to
I'll
plan.
follow up. Yep.
Because I think with the first batch, I think we got in August timeframe. And then we just got the second batch, what, in October, November? so it looks like you're taking about 3-4 months between, seems to be the cycle so far. That means you're due.
We're due. Yeah, and it's good to keep, I do check with Sandy periodically on that, and it's good, I think, to keep them aware of our interest.
But the new, I have to comment, the new website, PASBA website is really nice to be able to use search terms and search and find all the policies.
Yes.
Just by using a word, just like volunteers. So,
Nice.
and it's actually really, really nice, good, nice little engine.
Yeah, I really appreciate the administration getting those out there in a timely fashion, too.
It's probably easier for them updating and having that block instead of having to scan and move around all the individual policies. Just do it as a series. You have the paper copy, you just stick them all in the scanner, and they're good.
Okay, so I'll turn it over to the public. If the public has any requests for policies, new policies, existing policies, any of the discussion we had here today on any of these? Nope. Okay, well, I'm going to adjourn the policy committee meeting at 6:36. Thank you.